So I have a little bit of explaining to do. You might notice that our pond is just a sheet metal liner. It is not full of water. There is no pond liner in it. Why is that, Shelby? Well, you see, we're going to put paved stones in this dome that are about 2 inches tall. Because we already have our raised beds in place and full of soil, we don't really have the option of moving those around. And we don't want the paved stones to come up too high above the base of the beds and lead to drainage issues. So we're going to end up removing about 2 to 4 inches of this gravel base that we have in here currently, and our sheet metal for our pond was only dug down about 2 inches. So we needed to buy ourselves a little bit more wiggle room. We've opted for 6 inches, that way we don't impede too much on the thermal mass, and we will work on getting this pond back up and running in the next couple of weeks. The paved stone project will probably be happening over the winter time. Good morning! We have a couple of things on our to-do list today. We are going to be applying some beneficial nematodes to all of the raised garden beds. I have noticed a couple of pests in this dome, and those are whiteflies and fungus gnats. I believe the fungus gnats came from our compost, so we're going to apply those beneficial nematodes to help eradicate that population. And I'm going to be setting some sticky traps to help with the adult fungus gnats and the whiteflies that we're seeing. We're also going to be working on kind of bolstering our pollinator window. So I have some lemongrass essential oil that I'm going to dab a little bit on the wooden frame. And I'm going to work on relocating some catmint that we have on a different location on our property.
You'll never have to be alone. I love you, and that's all I really know.
Into some big pots and place that right outside the pollinator window as well. Our borage is progressing, but it's going to take a little bit longer, and we'd like to try to introduce those pollinators as soon as possible. Welcome to the jungle. As you can see, I may have done a little bit of overplanting here, which is easy to do when you are starting things from seed and you're planting things when they're really small. Give it a couple of weeks and it'll look just like this. Also be working on setting up our Garden Tower 2 today, which is a vermicomposting system. I will have a link on the screen to where you can purchase the Garden Tower 2. We are an affiliate with Garden Tower 2 project, so by shopping using our link, you are also supporting Growing Spaces, and we will be doing a full in-depth video all about how the Garden Tower 2 works in the growing dome coming very soon. Our pond liner has also been installed today, and we are working on filling this up. We'll finish that off tomorrow, and then we will let this water sit for 2 weeks before we introduce plants or fish. The other exciting update is that our misting system is now live. We are still working on the programming so that it will be fully automatic, but we are able to manually turn it on and off at this time, and we are utilizing a pump and a rain barrel instead of a garden hose. So we'll be doing some more testing, making sure that we have everything figured out before we tell you exactly how we did it. It might sound crazy, but today is going to be our first harvest day. So I'm going to harvest all of the mesclun mix that's behind me in the west bed. We're going to be harvesting the romaine that is underneath the grape trellis where the cucumbers are, because the cucumbers are kind of suffocating it. And I'm going to be thinning out some of the romaine that we have growing underneath one of the other bean trellises. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut the leaves off, and then we'll go ahead and remove the roots afterwards. I do have my handy dandy scissors here. You could use some fancy garden shears, but these work just fine. And I am going to spray them with alcohol in between each different type of plant. That way we don't spread any potential pests that may be present in the greenhouse. Now for all of these roots and the bases of the lettuces, I'm going to go ahead and pull all these out and feed them to the worms. For the smaller stuff, I'm just going to turn it back into the soil. Acts as green manure. You may remember that I planted these as a group of seedlings. So there's actually more than one plant in each of these bunches. So I'm going to go ahead and thin these out. take out some of the outer ones. This one I think has 4 plants here. We'll leave the center one and let that continue to grow and mature. So now we have just 1 plant in each spot, so these can continue to grow and form hopefully an actual romaine head. The way that we're harvesting them right now, they would be considered baby romaine if you would buy them at the grocery store. So we ended up with lots of baby romaine, all of our mesclun mix. I harvested a kale that was getting a little bit overcrowded, same with a Swiss chard, and overall I think this is a great harvest for our first one.